What up, YouTube? Today I am going to try and sell you a kettle corn setup. But before I do that, I feel that it's my duty just to inform you that you are about to witness some of the most terrible camera work that you have seen in a long time and probably ever will see. All right, now that I got that out of the way, that was the right, the front, and the left side of the setup. And this is the entryway. Woof. Entryway. It's $5 word for a redneck job, isn't it? Once you pull that little table in, the barriers are complete and nobody else can get in, which is good. The corn will fly out of the kettle and can burn people, and that's a liability, and you don't need that. All right, check out the hook. See the hook? Put a bungee cord on the hook, run the other end of the bungee, and hook it to the tent. The weight of this fence is going to hold that tent down. That way, you don't lose it. Nobody gets hurt. You don't have to buy a new tent. Also, too, these fences are custom made, and these two by fours right here, they go into the table. That way, the fence will not fall over and hurt anyone. Again, eliminating a liability. Front fence are identical to the other two fences. There's another hook on the opposite side. You got to have at least two anchor points. Do the bungee cord routine here again. That way, you don't lose your tent. This last piece of fence actually has a little holster in it for your spices, and that's for a different product, not necessarily kettle corn, but we'll go into that. The two blue tubs up top, those are your ingredients. This shelf right here inside the table will hold two 50-pound bags of corn. By the way, a 50-pound bag of corn will render $600 if you do it properly. The very bottom on the concrete, that is where you're going to store your oil jugs. All right, that is the rear table if you are the cook. Now, if you're running the front, this is the front table. That shelf is going to hold three bags, 50-pound bags of corn, plus the other two. Now you've got five bags. That's a total $3,000 if you do the job properly. All right, tabletop, tabletop. Let's talk about the tabletop. This is the Redneck Cash Register. Again, custom made. All of this stuff is 3/4 inch plywood. It's been burned, and I also put a stain that has a polyurethane mix in it, so it's been sealed too. It's been stained, sealed, burned. It gives it a nice little rustic look. Makes you stand out. All right, they're custom made Redneck Cash Register. Fits a dollar bill nicely. I think it's like 6 1/4 inches, 6 3/8 inches, something like that. American paper currency. The ones go in the box, but the big ones, like the 10 and the 20s, they go here. Just drop them down one after the other. And at the end of the day, undo those four screws and grab that pile of cash out of there. All right, the salt. It's a great place for the salt, but it also holds down the ones. This cup is kind of a miscellaneous cup. It'll hold down your fives. You want to keep these two in there. It keeps people's hands out. It keeps the wind from blowing it away, etc. This third space here is for your twisty ties. And last but not least, miscellaneous like hand sanitizer, business cards, whatever it is that you want to put in there. That's if you're running the front. All right, let's talk about the health department. Regardless of where you are, there's going to be a health department. You're going to have to get a health permit and follow the guidelines. They want a wash, rinse, and sanitize. That one's washed, this one's rinse, this one's sanitize. They also want a hand washing station, and this is hand washing station right here on the left. This bucket right here, a bucket, tray, whatever you want to call it, it's just a piece of wood held up by a little bar, but it effectively catches the water, which is a requirement for most health departments. You can turn it on and then shut it off without using your hand after you've washed it, because they say that you can't touch the spigot after you've washed your hands because then your hands are dirty. Also, too, this thing comes on wheels because trust me, lugging this stuff all around town and going in and out of the trailer all the time gets old. But if you got it on wheels, God bless the wheel, makes life a little bit easier. All right, your wash bin also doubles as a storage compartment. I am not a carpenter. Obviously, I'm not a cameraman either. But I tell you what I do know. I know that 3/4 inch plywood and 2x4s, when you put them together, these suckers will handle abuse. This whole setup is only, what is this, 2.5, 3 years old now? And I have beaten the tar out of this thing, which is kind of just comes with the territory. It's part of the job, and it's never given me any guff. This stuff is sturdy, will handle abuse. Again, that's that 3/4 inch plywood. Just stack stuff on there. And man, let me tell you, when you're setting up and you see the other vendors carrying it out, 2 or 3 vendors carrying one piece at a time, and you push this thing out full of supplies in position, too easy. All right, your tent. I did not go with a cheap tent. I went with the Easy Up. It's got the crossbar in the center. It's a 10 by 10 straight leg, except no substitutions. When you absolutely positively cannot have a raggedy tent, that is the tent that you want. All right, this is the setup. This is the setup. I did take the kettle out today just for illustration purposes so you can get a good look at the interior. But now let's move to the
Let's go
kettle.
over the mechanics of the kettle.
Carbon steel, carbon steel. That is the material we use whenever we build these things. Carbon steel is tough as nails, will not give you a problem. The right hand side of the kettle here has two important parts. The vent right there is where all the heat comes out of. This model is a right-handed kettle for a right-handed individual. That vent will keep the heat away from you as the cook. That spring that runs diagonally is an assist to help you get the cooker up and over to dump the corn into this receiving kettle. The receiving kettle is stainless steel, which, by the way, health departments absolutely love, and that thing probably could use a paint job. The rear of the kettle, there's a couple of very important things back here. Number one, your propane. Right there in the center of your screen is a quick disconnect. That's where your main propane line is going to go into the kettle. Down towards the bottom, you got a rear caster wheel, and that helps. It only takes one person to get in and out. Bottom right hand corner, you got two propane lines, one main and one for your pilot. That ring is where your oil can sits. And then up top, you've got your on off switch on the left and your main regulator on the right. That was the sound of the burner that we use whenever we build these machines, which, based on my experience, is one of the two most important things if you're considering buying a kettle corn machine and becoming a vendor. The burner, important item number one. Ours is a direct flame, puts out 500,000 BTUs. As a cook, this enables you to produce a batch of corn in between 3 and 4 minutes time. And because the heat is so strong, you're not going to get a darker corn. You're going to get a lighter looking corn, a pretty batch of corn. And obviously, I mean, looks are important if you're out there and you're trying to crank a product out that's not very good looking. I don't know how that's going to turn out. All right, item number two, the size of this kettle. 180 quarts is what we use. The reason we do that is because these machines are designed to be able to handle some of the larger festivals and larger shows. You're going to get between 7 and 11 bags out of a batch of corn. If you're charging $6 a bag, that's going to put you upwards of $50, $60 a batch. Every 3 or 4 minutes, you're cranking that out. If you're at a big show and you've got a line, it's too easy, man. Makes a strong, strong income for that weekend. Thanks for watching the video and have a nice day.